Greetings and salutations, and welcome to Tug of Heart. Thank you, Strong Island Entertainment. Thank you for hosting us. We're always grateful. Um, well, let's get into this. Picking myself up from the gravel road, I haven't even the time to pick the rocks embedded in my elbows. The fire burns in my lungs with every breath. I wish I could simply swallow the pain. Not so long ago, the beads of sweat stung as they rolled into my eyes, and I could taste the fear. No place to hide, no friendly faces welcoming sanctuary to my pace. One door, just one door. Why can't I find a single door to take me in? I haven't looked back, haven't needed to. I can hear the beast closing the gap. I've been running so long, so very long. I don't know what I'll do when I reach the clearing. Surely I'll be overtaken as my body aches and my heart races. Am I losing the fight? It sure feels like I'm loosening my grip on life. I see my legs moving, but I no longer feel the pain and it's scaring me. I'm not ready to leave this body. I'm sorry, God. I'll try harder just to get me back. I can't feel the road beneath my feet any longer. I'm floating. Is this what it has all been leading up to? Am I dying? Something is telling me to give in, and yet I feel as though I still think as though I'm alive. I'm not even tired any longer. I still recognize the grass swaying and the earth moving beneath me. My pulse has returned to normal and the sweat has subsided. The beast no longer breathing upon my neck, and the fear was obviously cloudiness, which is now clearing. For whatever reason, it feels as though I have arrived, and then it hits me. I wasn't being chased, I was chasing. The beast, now clear in my mind, looks exactly like me. This entire time I wasn't running from, I was running to my heart. Lori, hi.
Hi, how you doing? I love that. Excellent.
Good. Well, I wrote it for you. You asked me
Yes.
to. So, wow, can't believe here we are again. I'm always so excited now. The days are changing, and these little chats that we're having is um, it's becoming a regular occurrence in my mind, and that I'm constantly thinking about it. I feel better. Um, Super excited. So today, illicit emotions. Wow, that's
With
a
an
big
I.
topic. That's a lot to chew on. And for the past several episodes, we've discussed several topics that strike a challenge in many of us. And today, I was going to chat about illicit emotions, but I think we should put that off and let's
Okay.
talk about something of equal importance, Lori.
Ooh, all right.
Recognizing reasons for celebration. So as I was reviewing our conversations, I realized that how important it is for me, Lori, to celebrate as much or more than repair. Because one of the things I said last time we chatted was that I don't want to get into a habit of living in perpetual repair. There has to come a point where we just relax in the new us, because as I've changed, I'm happy with the changes that have happened. And I got to go a step further. Lori, I'm going to tell you, anybody that knows you, anybody who's met you, anybody who has witnessed the challenge, impossible challenge. Lori, how do you manage to stay so upbeat? How are you so this is almost like a crazy question because number one, I'm pointing out all that has happened to you, but yet you manage to gracefully walk this planet. You are so willing to help. You're not angry.
Not generally, no. Yeah, I guess no. I'm not
You're not
angry.
angry with the altered state of life that you're living. I mean, how do you find such incredible celebration with all that's happened in the last 18 months?
Oh my goodness. Okay, I got like emotional. Speaking of emotions, when you were saying that, because I wasn't expecting this, I thought we were going to talk about like taboo emotions versus what we ought to feel and transitioning. But I guess on a personal level, the way I would talk about that is over the years, um, I've learned, fortunately, before the hardest years that I faced, I've learned that my life is not about just chasing feelings, certain feelings, and that the purpose of our life and what we do here, how we spend our days, how we spend hour by hour, um, has a whole lot more to do than seeking like a type of self satisfaction. That sounds contrary to what you're asking, but the fact of the matter, and this is off the cuff, so you have to give me permission down the road to adjust it. This is my immediate feeling now to the question. When we have certain emotions, like anger or rage, resentment, these are the ones that I would have thought of for kind of more illicit guilt, right? Failure, helplessness, the worst. These are emptiness, inadequacy, anger, right? Well, we can make this mistake of equating good emotions with good itself and bad emotions with bad. Um, and it can become where our emotions are all, all, like when I have a certain emotion, like say me and you are talking and you make me upset, and I focus a lot on that emotion that I say you have uh, like stirred within me, right?
Thank
That's
goodness those are very rare and far in
it.
between.
I don't usually feel angry with you. I love you too much for that, seriously. Um, but if I were to do that, then I'm making every interaction with you and me about me. And I'm saying the world's about me. Emotions are a very personal thing, but the world's not all about us.
I'm going to interject, Lori, and I'm going to stop you right there because where you're going is the topic that we were going to have, but I'm singling you out.
Okay.
You. Like this is you. You can drop notes, you can drop everything because I'm asking you, how do you find so many opportunities for celebration? Let's put emotions on the
Okay.
back burner. We'll do that another day. But you have managed, whether it's a picnic, whether it's going upstate, whether it's bringing soup to a fallen comrade. I mean, you have found ways to continue to celebrate. And that's what I want to know. Like, I mean, I'm a happy person. And it doesn't take a lot to really bring elation into my life. But Lori, in the last 24 months, you have gone through impossible hardship, and yet you live in such a joyous, I mean, I'm not even saying that you're keeping emotions at bay. I'm saying, like, how do you identify and encourage enthusiastic celebration? How do you do that?
I um I don't measure my life, I guess, by satisfaction. And I think in this sense, taking emotion out of it, I've it in some sense it's accidental that I have found a pretty joyous life. I would say a joyful life.
Without
Um,
a doubt, without a doubt.
I am a happy person. I haven't always been a happy person. Um, but the shift in me did come around the time that you're familiar with, when I decided like something's got to change. I want something different. This is decades ago. And it was a shift towards a meaningful life. And in terms of celebration, I think that spontaneous celebration is critical. And it sounds like that's what you're talking about, like a more spontaneous celebration than um
I really wanted to talk about just matter of factly identifying things that put lift under your heart, like what gives it flight,
okay,
you know?
then the bottom line is that I value making good choices over feeling good. And generally the good feelings just happen to accompany the good choices.
Okay. I'm
Am I not getting it?
I am a man of subtle wits. I need you to take that apart a little bit more.
Okay. Um then I would say it's a choice. First of all, it's a choice.
Okay. So what do you do? I mean, do you wake up and say, "Today I am seeking," and then fill in the blank,
No,
reason to
let
be
me tell
happy?
let me tell you sometimes the sadness of Lori waking up. Sometimes I wake up and I wake up to a feeling which I'm not sure what it is. There's that few seconds of um coming back from dreamland and you're left with feelings. Did this come from a dream? Is it residual from yesterday? Did I get an answer to a meditation, a prayer? Did I dream of Seth? Oh my gosh, that's what it is. I've lost my son. Everything has to come back in. um but the one thing I always feel at the beginning of every day is that day in itself, there is hope for it to be anything I want it to be, no matter what else, period. Um, I have a chance to love the people I love. I have a chance to learn more. Um, I have a chance to receive much more, um, and to give a little more. And I never think like, what am I going to get today or take? So I don't think in terms of giving and taking. I think of offering and receiving. So I can offer stuff, whether it's rejected or not. I've done what I should. I receive things, but not take it. Um, so that everything is kind of a gift. And I accept the terms of those gifts, if that can make sense. Specifically, if we want to talk about Seth, I understand that he, I had the most perfect son and have the most perfect son. And I accept completely every bit of that gift. And I don't believe that it's over, in the sense that I'm still learning more about it. What I do know is um, the shelf life on earth. That's it. But I don't know what lies beyond that. That's where I'm in the phase of seeking more of that. So there's an element, I guess, of seeking. Um, and I don't resent the parameters of a gift. It's a choice I had to make before I lost him. I won't resent it, because if I accept Seth full heartedly. And I've said this before, with all my heart, I accept and love my little boy as he is. And that includes his lifespan. And I accept it just like that. You can, I'm emotional because I love him. But it's not emotion of dissatisfaction, because I never, I was never promised him. So if I would have got him for 3 days, who would not take that little boy? For 8 years, would I have said no? No way. I think of it sometimes like walking through a forest at night, and it's frightening, it's cold, it's lonely, and you're left. The worst of all of that is you're left to your own thoughts. And I think, what if, or imagine if you're in prison, one or the other, and what if God came to you and said, would you like a companion for a year? Would you say, hell no? Because in a year, what does that mean when the year's up? Or would you say, yes, I just for this next year want this? I think most of us would. If we were truly in the dark and true or truly in a prison, we would say, please, please. And if he reminded us it's for a year, we'd say, that's fine. That's fine. Please, please. Would you take a companion for a night? Would you take a companion for a week? I think we would all say yes. So why would we um, begrudge that when we uh, find out the parameters, I guess, of that offering um, while we're in it? We would have said yes always, anyways.
I have to be honest, Lori, that is like such an incredible explanation that I literally can't even contribute and park anything next to it. Because, I mean, just number one, what intelligence, to be able to wrap your mind around such a big task, I mean, that's a lot to sort, because what you're doing is you're thinking on a level that is so far beyond emotion. I mean, you're like, it's cerebral, and we say this about you. I mean, you you've made it make sense. And I know this conversation. I knew when I sprung it on you, I didn't want to tell you ahead of time, because that's just beautiful. I remember the closest thing I can remember is when I was involved in a motor vehicle accident. It was a bad one, a
Oh my
really
God.
really a
No,
really really bad one.
that's putting it mildly. Yeah.
And I remember, my my due date was certainly identified by medical professionals. They're like, yeah, this is it.
Right.
And I remember dad saying, I wanted for so long to have a son. I love my daughters, but he
Yeah.
was
And your
happy
dad,
that he had a
yeah.
son.
Right.
And it takes nothing from you. And he said, and you gave me that. I am trying to picture dad in his own, um kind of, in his own head. I'm trying to think. I can't imagine him kneeling, but I'm thinking about him walking, or just going through the process. And he said, and he gave me exactly what I asked for. And if this is the extent of that, I accept it.
Wow. I never heard that. That's
You
amazing.
know, and
Yeah.
and he's praying, and he's saying, God, you gave me exactly what I asked for. And I can't, very very much like you, unbeknownst to you, he said, I can't question that. I asked for it, you gave it to me, and if this is the way that it maps out, so be it. I'm still grateful. I'm no, like, very very much what you're saying. I'm no less appreciative because at 15 years and one half, he's taken from me. If that is your will, well, God's will be done. And I'm not trying to get religious in any way, but I think what I see in you, when I talk to you, and I hear you laugh, Lori, and I hear you, I hear you live, and I'm envious. Not envious because I don't. I'm just envious that you have that ability to live. Like, you continue to identify reasons for celebration. And when I say this, Lori, they don't have to be big celebrations. They can be the smallest of celebrations. When you fixed your water heater,
Yeah.
you were happy. Like that was a week long process. I mean, it was a big journey for you to get there and turn it on. And in that, you found in that process of doing it yourself, there was an education and there was also a discovery that so many people had been taking advantage for so many years. Every time you'd call them out to deal with your water heater. And it's amazing that you can find such incredible satisfaction in the mundane tasks, and I'm envious. I'm proud of you. You are living and you are living joyously. And that's not to take away from people that are impacted substantially different, but you've really managed to just continue to live and celebrate. There was a time, and I'm not going to go anywhere beyond what you're comfortable, but I mean, it was very dark,
Yeah.
and it was very, as your twin, I'm going to say I was worried.
Hmm.
um I'm going to use one word, and the word that's frightened me, and you can understand why I'm so happy to have this conversation with you today, and that word is poetic.
Yeah. What a shame, right? That it comes attached with the irony.
Right. I mean, just like the considerations that go through a person's mind when they are in their deepest of holes.
Yeah. Um, and I think when you're there, you can still celebrate. And the thing is, nobody like has some kind of patent on celebration, because you can be furious and choose to celebrate. Um, you can lose and celebrate the end of a war. And one of the reasons I think I made it through, I guess I haven't made it through, to tell you the truth. I hurt so bad every day still. Um, if we're talking about the darkest of the dark, it crosses everybody's mind. I believe I could say a parent, how much better it would be to not live without a child, right? Yourself. Like,
Mm,
I'd be better not to be here as well. It would be easier. It seems easier. The thing is, reason and truth doesn't change. So you don't mess, I don't, in the same way that I wouldn't mess with or question the gift of Seth's life. It's not my life. I didn't create my own life either. It was also a gift to me. So it's not for me to decide the terms of that,
mm,
except to do the best I can with it, because it was a gift that I am still drawing from, should I choose, or I can squander the gift, right? And so there has to be, once you say you believe something, you have to kind of, even when you hate it, and I hated it sometimes, but you have to, in faith, be consistent with what you have learned in life and apply it across the board, which is where some emotions are become illicit. Not to keep bringing it back to that, but I do think that that's the best way to explain that. In that, I don't know how to create a life. I've carried a life, that according to my beliefs was created, and then I was fortunate enough to have. Um, I know for sure I didn't create myself. We're not self-creating. So that it's some things about my own life are not my call. And the funny thing about that is a lot of times we can tend to think that we've lost some freedom when we don't own our life. But to me, it's very liberating, because there's a whole lot of pressure, and we'll do a whole lot to sabotage ourselves if we believe we own our life in that kind of deeper way. Another thing I was going to tell you, I don't know why I was thinking of this with in terms of your accident and then what I went through, the little bit of overlap that I see. is you came back to being very strong above what any of us could have imagined at the time. I remember when your mouth was wired shut. Oh my gosh, such a oh,
The good old days.
well, I mean, you were skinny. You couldn't eat. I remember blending an Arby's sandwich in the au jus, and you had some of it on the outside of the teeth, and just awful. Here's the thing. Um, there was a whole lot of stuff you weren't able to do then, and there's a whole lot of stuff I believe I cannot do without Seth. I believe I cannot reach in my heartbreak. One of the things I tell kids when I worked with like a lot of kids. That's just something that's very much in my heart. When I hear kids say that they can't do something, I tell them, when you say I can't, has anybody ever told you what that means? Because I don't think people think about what I can't really means. And all it means is I haven't yet. And so let's try a new way. Let's keep trying. Let's see if anybody knows something about this and can help us. Seek a helper because I haven't yet. And in that way too. So when my heart breaks because I say I can't be with Seth, even today, like it hurts to say that. But I can be strong right after just by adjusting myself for that second and saying, that just means I haven't yet. It's not over. Time's not over. And there's a good chance I will be reunited. And that's that. That's a celebration. It's not a definitive to say I can't, you know?
Two things I want to tell you. And so that I forget them, I'm going to make a note. One is about 801 Lisa, which is where we lived when, or that's where you lived when in Cottonwood, Arizona, when I had the accident. You were living with Mom, 801 Lisa Street. And the other thing is, by now, if I haven't let it out, I completed the 8th grade at Madison Middle School. And one of the things that I've always said is that it's somewhat of a blessing that I didn't attend more school.
Yes, for
And
you specifically.
for why is that a blessing? I mean, it's not a blessing. I'm certainly not a proponent of not obtaining conventional education, but I did sidestep an entire cohort that would identify limitations.
Yes.
Whether that's healing, whether that's a physical healing, or whether that's working passion. Nobody said like, yeah, that's, come on, let's focus on this, So I kind of had free run, you could go do whatever you want, and why do we go to school? Well, we go to school primarily to find out what we don't like, because change your majors and all those other things.
And to find out who you're not. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and to make friendships and relationships and to learn how to sustain them. I think, to me, I've always said degrees are more about showing your ability to see something through.
Yes.
And that's the gauge. Did you get a degree? I did. Well, great. You saw it through. That makes you qualified. What I was going to talk about your accident is we've always been twins our entire lives, actually, but never as close as we probably could have or should have been. And I remember talking to you just before our 16th birthday. You're living at 801 Lisa. I came down for a little bit, and I remember you were already in your little philosophical head, and you told me, you said, I think that life is the ultimate gift. I'm like, okay, you sound serious. Go on. And he said, life is the ultimate gift. And I said, what are you talking about? You're like, well, think about heaven, think about hell. And this is you when you were sorting out your own beliefs, which are neither right nor wrong for anybody else listening, but you were going through something and you said, think about heaven and hell. And I'm like, all right, you're going to have to do better than that. And you said, life is the ultimate gift. You make it heaven or you make it hell.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you receive things. That's how you interact. That's how you give. That's how you love. That's how you hurt. And, and it's come full circle, that you must have really committed to that thought process, because now that you've gone through unimaginable pain, losing a child, and I'd venture to say it's not even losing a child through something, early on. I mean, you were united for many years and then separated. And I'm going through this because I think you are so brilliant when you're kind of just ambushed maybe a little bit with these things, and there never is a good time, but
Yeah.
but there's never a good time to ask these questions. But my point is that you really committed to that thought long ago, because even now you make your life happy, celebratory,
Well, I
joyous.
won't today because there's a little more pressure on me.
I think it's great. I mean, what would you tell me in terms of starting that process? Like, how do you start it? Do you start it by saying, like, I'm gonna celebrate the fact that the bottom didn't fall out of the trash bag when I took it out? I mean, where do you start? Like, how does
I
how does
say
how does a beginner start that process?
you make a choice when the bottom does fall out of the trash. Do you want to laugh about it, or do you want to get pissed and kick it around and make a bigger mess?
I'm gonna go with kick it around.
Yeah. Um, and that's okay too. But then the next day you have another choice. Can you laugh at yourself the day before, or will you start to say, chalk it up as more evidence that yours is uniquely difficult life. Yours is a uniquely difficult life. Your life is you're so special. Your life is bad, worse than everyone else, because there is this kind of weird competition in our society. Uh, who has it hardest? I'm not,
Hmm.
and part of it for me, I had to give up being interested in that because it's a fun game to play, but with a certain amount of maturity. And I'm not whatever picture comes to mind when I say this is not going to be anything close to what anybody might project onto me. So if you're listening, knock it off, because I think it about people you wouldn't even imagine, and I don't think it about some that you might imagine, and I think it about myself as well. But we can tend to be like, oh, we can. It's about being very self-centered, where we think we're uniquely good or uniquely bad. Nobody is that special to be either one. And we have to knock it off and grow up, and at least as a minimum start, understand that, um and set yourself kind of equal in terms of the heart with everybody else, so that you value them the same, and also you put yourself on par with them, so that you're doing as much good. You're not missing good you could be doing in your life, or even worse, doing bad and justifying it. Remove some excuses and you'll start to maybe like make different choices.
So saddle yourself with the reality that your pain, your discomfort is kind
Universal.
of blends in with everybody else's
Yeah,
pain and hurt and
I'm not having
discomfort.
more pain than I'm not having a more painful life than anyone else. Period. I don't get to say that.
So pain is universal.
Yeah, and I'm not having more challenges in my life than anybody else.
Hmm.
And I haven't had more and I haven't, even though, like what you were saying today, I thank you for saying it, because I don't always see myself that way, to tell you the truth. But if I have had a joy in my life, which I do believe I have, um, I've done nothing more to earn that. And also, um, I'm not better at life than anybody else.
From the outside looking in, Lori, you are exemplary at
Well,
staying
thanks. I didn't know you thought that. I thought I bugged you.
at, at staying happy and laughing and just willing to engage. I didn't tell you about this topic. I didn't tell you where I was going with it because, I mean, it's just so clear. Anybody who's listening, it's just clear. It's clear that you have, dare I say, you've mastered it. You have come back from just incredibly broken to such a well put together, joyful person.
Thank you.
And I love seeing you this way.
Did you see how hard I tried to stay on topic with emotions, by the way?
Yeah, I know you did try and steer it, didn't you?
Yeah.
So
Thank you, Leroy.
yeah, you bet. So with that, Lori, that's what I wanted to get out of you. I think I got it, and I want to just leave it right there. Are you
All
good?
right. Yeah, thank you.
All right,
I'm
everybody.
gonna put a little lean on you next time. Right back at you.
All right, let's do that.
All right.
Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Like, definitely like, and share if you think that there is uh, some value, comedic or otherwise, in what we do here. But I'll tell you what, together with perseverance and consistency, we're making it easier for ourselves. I think I can say that, Lori, to heal and take us out of here. Adios.
Okay, until next time. Thanks also, Bobby, for your part in all of this.
You got it. You guys got it. Great show.
We'll talk to you next time. Bye.